In this video, I'm going to show you how to lock in so hard it feels like you're cheating. Let's go. So let me ask you something. Have you noticed how some days you're completely locked in, you wake up feeling pretty good, thinking clearly, making decisions quickly, moving things forward without any friction or resistance, it just flows naturally. And then other days, it feels like you are just stuck. You're operating at half capacity for no real reason. So, same work, same environment, same expectations, but two different days. This is what we're going to break down in this training. So, before we get into it, this is for people who are already doing the work. You're not trying to figure out how to start, you're already in motion, you're already starting, but you're going to get to that next level. You're trying to understand why your output does not match your ambition, and you're just not you're not operating at the level you know you're capable of doing. So, because you've seen your best days and you want to replicate those best days consistently, this is for those sort of people. Okay, how do we stay there? How do we replicate our best days? So the inconsistency theorem, the theory of inconsistency, there is a simple idea I want to start with. Your performance is not random. It only feels random because you're not tracking the variables that control it. I call this inconsistency theorem. Your output will always mirror the state of your cognitive system, not your intentions. You can intend to have a productive day. You can wake up and say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. But if your systems aren't in place, you're going to just veer off into different directions. So you can plan it perfectly, but your cognitive system is unstable. Your output will reflect that instability. So the real question becomes not, why am I inconsistent, but rather, a more accurate, specific question is, what is making my system unstable? The state versus capability distinction. Most people confuse capability with state. Capability is what you can do at your best, whereas state is what you can access right now. And those two are not the same, because you can be highly capable and still perform poorly on a given day. Not because you lost your ability, but because you cannot access it in that moment. You cannot access your best peak state in that given moment. This is where a lot of internal frustration comes from, because you're constantly comparing yourself to that peak productivity state and you can't access it. So when your productivity drops, it feels like something is wrong with you. In most cases, it is not a loss of capability, it is a shift in your state. The dopamine stability principle. Now we get into what actually controls that state. One of the most important variables here is dopamine, but not in the way most people think about it. Most people think about dopamine in terms of your highs, your peaks, your feeling good, those sorts of moments. But dopamine more accurately reflects motivation. What actually matters is performance, not the peak. It is the stability. So here's the principle. Your ability to perform consistently is directly tied to how stable your dopamine baseline is. When your baseline is stable, you're thinking clearly, your focus is reliable, and your energy is predictable. But when your baseline is unstable, everything fluctuates. You've got these highs, you've got these lows, your energy goes up and down. And that is when you get those on days and those off days. So that is the problem of volatility. So the question becomes, what creates instability? And that is this volatility. So your dopamine system responds to contrast. If you can create large spikes, you can also create large drops. So whatever comes up in the short term will come down in the short term. So most modern environments are built around creating constant spikes. So that's going to be your stimulation, your novelty, checking your phone, notifications. This is just going to spike you constantly, and with those spikes you're going to have the crashes as well. Fast inputs, quick feedback, constant switching. Each of these things pushes your system up and down. So instead of operating from a stable level, you're constantly moving between higher and lower states. This is why one day you can feel sharp and the next day you can feel heavy. And also why in one moment you can feel sharp and also in the next moment you feel pretty flat. So it's not random, it is the result of what your system has been exposed to. So the recency effect. There's another layer to this that most people overlook. Your brain weighs recent experiences more heavily than older ones. This is sometimes referred to as the recency effect. What you did yesterday, and even in the last few hours, is disproportionately more of an impact on your current state than previous levels, previous stimulation. What you've been exposed to 2 months ago is going to have a far less effect on your current state than what you were exposed to 2 hours ago, for example. So if you wake up already at a disadvantage, this becomes, let me start that one again. So if you had a day filled with fragmentation, fragmented attention and quick rewards, your baseline the next day starts lower. So it doesn't matter if you were perfect for 6 months before that. The day before is going to have more of an impact on your current day, your current state, than the cumulative effect of 6 months. Does that make sense? So often, because you're not continuously tracking your days, you'll feel like your performance drops for no apparent reason. It's not because of what you woke up on your day, it's because of maybe what you did yesterday. So there's always a reason, and it might not be immediately visible. Okay, that leads us on to the fragmentation principle. Now let's connect this to how you actually work. There's a concept I call the fragmentation principle. The more your attention is divided, the less depth your thinking can reach, the less access you have to deep, meaningful work. Every time you switch tasks, your brain does not fully reset. Part of your attention remains attached to the previous task. So even when you return to something important, you're not fully there, you're not fully present, and you're not fully able to give it that focus and attention. You're partially present in multiple places. That partial presence feels like low energy or lack of clarity, but it's actually attention residue. Over time, this creates a constant sense of mental drag. Stabilizing the system. So if instability is the problem, the solution is not intensity, but rather stabilization. You're not trying to push your system higher or harder, you're trying to make it more predictable. Have less highs, have less lows. You're trying to make it more predictable, you're trying to control the inputs, you're trying to reduce volatility and limiting these unnecessary spikes. But more importantly, it involves controlling the sequence. So the sequence principle is all about order. Your brain does not just respond to what you do, it responds to the order in when you do these things. So this is the sequence principle. Early inputs shape the rest of your cognitive state. If your day starts with reacting to things, your system becomes reactive. If your day starts with focus, then you're more likely for the rest of the day to also remain in that focused state or a stable dopamine state. So the first 1-2 hours of your day matters more than most people realize. Definitely more important the first 2 hours of the day than the middle or the end. So that is why sequence matters a lot. So a practical model you can apply today or tomorrow. So if we're simplifying everything we've talked about, the model looks like this. You want to reduce volatility, you want to stabilize your baseline, and you want to sequence your day in a good order that supports stability. Practically, this means you begin your day with a focused block of work that protects your energy, protects your attention, keeps you in a proactive mode, not a reactive mode. You limit unnecessary switching of tasks during your highest energy periods, which is going to be the start of your day. And you avoid stacking high stimulation activities back to back. This is not about perfection, it's about direction. So the real shift here is understanding that inconsistency is not a personality flaw, it is a system issue. Once you fix your system, your energy system, your focus, your sequencing, it's all going to become a lot clearer. So your brain is responding to the patterns you're feeding it. If the patterns are unstable, your output will be unstable. If the patterns are stable, your output becomes reliable. Your energy level becomes consistent, and your energy is going to be consistent as well. Okay, so and once your output becomes reliable, progress becomes predictable. So I'm going to leave you with this. So when you notice those off days next time, instead of questioning yourself, look at your system. Look at what you have exposed your brain to, maybe right now, but also the day before. Look at how your day was structured. Look at your sequencing. Have you been protecting your energy? Have you been protecting your focus? Have you been in a reactive state? Because your performance is not random. It is based on all these factors. It is patterned. And once you understand the pattern, once you understand the ingredients that creates this good focus, these good energy levels, then it all makes sense. So if this makes sense, if this video was good and you got some value out of it, then consider subscribing, and I will see you on the next one.